Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning from whichever part of the world that you're joining in from. I can see quite a few of you who have started trickling in. Welcome to another amazing session, which we have got to you by the University of San Francisco, Masterclass School of Management, all the way from San Francisco in the USA. I can see we've crossed around 100 students very quickly in the chat window. If you could let us know which city are you dialing in from, my friends back in San Francisco want to know where their participants are coming up this wonderful evening. So very quickly in the chat window, which city are you dialing in from? We have people from Panipat, from Mumbai, from Delhi, Indore, a lot of folks from Delhi. Hello, everyone. Chandigarh, Mumbai, Faridabad, uh, Patna, Gurgaon. So students from the length and breadth of the country, thank you so much for joining us on this wonderful Wednesday evening. Anyone who's from outside of India that has tuned in as well, anyone from any of our neighboring countries, anyone from Africa, from the US, please let us know. Oh, we have someone from Oman. Welcome, Seth. Thank you so much for joining us. Uh, Thank you, everyone who is back. And like I said, today's masterclass is brought to you by the University of San Francisco Massillon School of Management, which is located in the heart of San Francisco and is ranked as one of the top universities in student diversities and boosts of a worldwide alumni network spanning diverse industries, including banking, finance, tech, NGOs, you name it, and they have it. So today's masterclass is going to be talking about the three important P's in all our lives: people, planet, and prosperity. And they are going to be talking about sustainable business strategies, which are used by the university, how emerging leaders aim to integrate impactful ethical decision making with sustainable business strategies across industry sectors. So you will get a chance to know more about how to build a case study for sustainability, what are the global trends, and what does the future of sustainability look like, as well as innovative business strategies for social impact. I'm going to take a moment to quickly introduce the panelists for today. So I'll start with myself. My name is Sabahat Furzuk. I'm the Associate Director at Seed Global Education. We are a UK headquartered company facilitating interactions between top global universities like the one that we have with us here today and prospective students like yourself, helping you make the right informed choices about your careers, about your education, by having a look at what these universities have to offer, giving you a taste of what their faculty teaches there so that you can make these decisions very in the correct manner. Joining me today, we have Dr. Marco, who has over 30 years of experience for sustainability development and policy, poverty elevation projects in Europe, East Africa, Latin America, North America, and Southeast Asia. He is a CEO of SDG Services, President of Sustainability Capacity International at SCI Institute, and co-founder of the World Engagement We Institute. He's a professor of nonprofit management and global leadership at the University of San Francisco and serves as a sustainable development and indigenous rights expert for United Nations and other international organizations. Thank you so much, Professor, for joining us on this. I am sure it's a wonderful morning back home in San Francisco.
Thank you, Shabana. Thank you for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. Also joining us is Hannah Artist, the Senior Director of Graduate Admissions at the School of Management, the University of San Francisco. Hannah is an experienced enrollment management professional with expertise in graduate admission operations, international and domestic recruitment, and enrollment in data systems. She is extremely enthusiastic, believe me when I say this, and has helped all students build successful careers by helping you join the University of San Francisco. So if any of you are looking to join this university, Hannah is your go-to person. I see we are close to 360 students and counting in the room. Before I get started, I'm going to quickly run my first poll question for this evening. On the screen in front of you, I would like y'all to tell us, would you be willing to buy a higher price product of any brand if it is environmentally conscious? I know a lot of you must have now noticed this trend wherein you see a lot of brands making things, be it clothing or bags, which are environmentally conscious, and they have a label on them also which says that this cloth is made from sustainable products or is useful for environmentally conscious recycling bins. So I want to know, what do all of you think? Would you be willing to buy something at a higher price if you feel that it would help you make the right choice towards the environment as such. Um, I'm going to keep the poll running for a couple of more minutes before I end it and share the results with you. If any of you still looking to uh, cast your votes, please go ahead and do so. I know a lot of you in Mumbai must have casted another vote this morning, but let's go ahead and cast some votes for this poll as well. And with that, I'm going to end the poll and share the results in front of you. So 79% of the audience are willing to pay a higher price for any product that they choose if it is environmentally conscious. Thank you so much for casting your votes and sharing your thoughts with us. With that, I know you all are all excited to hear a little bit more. Dr. Marco, I would now request you to please get started with your presentation.
Thank you very much. I hope you can see my screen. I'm happy to be with you all
Yes.
because this is a very important subject for all of us, but particularly for all of you, as sustainability is primarily a concern for future generations.
Sorry, Professor, the screen is not full screen. Is there any chance you could make it a full screen?
It's not showing?
It's showing in a smaller format. It's
Oh,
visible, but if you wish, you can even increase the size. Thank you.
hold on. Hold on. How about now?
Yes,
Can you see
yes,
now?
yeah, much better. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So the topic that we have chosen today is for us to get an overview of some of the foundational elements that we talk about in relation to sustainability in business management that relates to what many of my colleagues at the United Nations in this field who are active all over the world regarding sustainable development have been talking about for quite some time, so at least in the last 50 plus years. But it's also an honor to be with you because we are here in San Francisco at the university that accompany one of the important moments that generated this awareness towards sustainability nearly 80 years ago when they had the conference here in San Francisco that established the United Nations in 1945. So what are we talking today? Well, in synthesis, or in summary, is that sustainability business strategies are simply to care. Seems kind of an obvious element, but there are obviously an element of care for the planet, which is clear to all of us, but other interconnected elements. So in other words, sustainability is not just a green thing, but is also very much a social element. As we know, nature will continue to exist no matter if humanity exists. So caring for one another, caring for diversity, for human diversity, and the well-being of one another is an essential priority for sustainability. And finally, also caring with technology. Human beings are able to invent and create many tools since its existence of our humanity. And nowadays, certainly the advent of new tools like artificial intelligence, just to mention a few, that certainly can help us to direct humanity toward our common goal for hopefully a common future. We often say that knowing our past is important to envision our common future. This is actually how I started a book that I finished to publish with my co-author, Dr. Sfera Yunus, that envision the future of sustainability beyond the 2030 agenda of the United Nations. And so this is the logo that was actually created here in San Francisco, and as I mentioned, in 1945, that established this foundation, this awareness of sustainability, even before the other commitments that 70 years later of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals that you probably are familiar with, which have two targets for 2030 and 2050 with these 17 goals, 169 targets, as well as the measurements that we see on this progress. And I hope that if you're not familiar, I hope you can also go deeper, as we do in our courses, on fundamental documents like the Transforming Our World, which I had the privilege to participate with numerous other players worldwide, in which the words are not just a promise, they're really an invitation to reestablish our commitment toward the people, planet, and prosperity. And so education is a central element to that. The awareness of it, and of course, our action to it are essential. I just want to bring you back a little bit in history because we need to know the emergence of this. As we saw in 1945, but also in 1962, there was this important publication by Rachel Carson that was the pioneer of awareness that we are codependent on nature. There was a lot of use of pesticide at the time, and we saw how our health was affected by this. In 1968, Garrett Hardin wrote this important publication of The Tragedy of the Commons, how certain economic activities actually could lead to the depletion of natural resources. And in 1972, there was another important document, so-called The Limit of Growth, from the Club of Rome, that published this fact that development cannot go without the awareness of environmental limits. And then finally, in terms of important fundamental conferences, which I elaborate in details on this latest book, is about the 1972 Stockholm Conference that started this process for sustainability, followed by the 1987 Brundtland Report. You might know about it because this is still today the definition of sustainability as achieving the needs of the present generations without compromising the ability of future generations to achieve their own. And then finally, in 1992, the Rio Conference, which really prepared the journey toward the Sustainable Development Goals in 2015. And those are some documents, if you want to know more about this subject that we are exploring in details with some of my students and in our courses. For example, the Charter in 1945 has incredible promises, incredible framing of those elements of sustainability. The Transforming Our World document in 2015, as well as what was just published just this October, this new document on the Pact to the Future and the challenge of global digital compact and the Declaration of Future Generation. Have a look at them. You can Google them, and you can certainly learn more about our commitment in the last 80 plus years. So, having said this, what is sustainability? Why sustainability is necessary to thrive and to survive? In spite the different opinion that we hear, different emphasis, especially in businesses, there are those who are very much committed, but we know that there are numerous challenges out there that are present. This is just to mention a few. For example, in terms of people, I don't know if you're following, but we know other crises like in Ukraine and certainly the crisis in Gaza or Lebanon, but nobody, at least here in the United States, or very little, they're speaking in the news, in the media, about the climate refugees in South Sudan, which are articulated also because of the ongoing conflict that exists out there. I just came back from Europe that was really devastated, particularly in Valencia, Spain, by these really terrible floods that people, many lost their lives, and certainly due to this climate crisis, these climate emergencies that is visible all over the world by exasperating many of the climate events. And then finally, in terms of prosperity, even here, this is a photo of San Francisco that shows the inequity that exists all over the world, unfortunately, and even here in our backyard, of poverty inequities between those who are extremely wealthy and those who cannot make these essential needs. So the perspective of sustainability needs to be framed properly in terms of the economic element, the social element, and the environmental element. But since we don't have much time, I want you to think about these three elements, these people, planet, and prosperity, together with two other elements which constitute the so-called 5 Ps of the Sustainable Development Goals. The 5 Ps, so people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnerships. Peace is an element that it's requires these other pillars, requires the societal element, the planetary element or environmental, as well as the economic prosperity. Notice that we don't talk about profit per se. We used to call it in the triple bottom line model, people, planet, and profit. Nowadays, there is a consensus all over the world that we need to focus more on prosperity. In other words, what is the social responsibility that our businesses have toward the well-being of our communities, our society? And to be honest with you, I learned this a while ago when I was living with Native Americans, and I worked with numerous indigenous populations all over the world, particularly the Lakota in South Dakota. They have taught me this word that says mitakuye oyasin, which is a word that meaning is we are interrelated. We are all related. And this is really true, particularly at the core of what we mean by sustainability. The awareness of our interdependence is fundamental, not only for us as individuals, as a human being, but also interdependence with our nature. We just went through a worldwide pandemic with the COVID-19 that was an unfortunate reminder of this interdependence and this fragility that we have for our world. The first element of people is certainly a priority that we see out there because, as I said, sustainability is not just a green thing. It's about also embracing our diversity, which, by the way, it's this ethno-diversity, which is a central element all over the world, not just here in the United States or other developing or developed countries, is really a concern all over for connecting this with the biodiversity. Biodiversity is an essential element for survival. We don't realize how much the disappearance of biodiversity will affect our future well-being. And therefore, the ethnodiversity is also an essential element for our very same survival. And the fact that there are some institutions, there are some initiatives here, there are some of the goals of the Sustainable Development Goals, like no poverty, good health, reduce inequities, but also movements like Black Lives Matter, which started here in the United States and kind of extended all over the world, revealing the fact that there are still many inequities all over the world. So equity and inclusion, health and quality of life, and social protection systems are three of the current priorities that we see in terms of people. What about planet? Well, those are just a few of the icons that are used in the Sustainable Development Goal in terms of climate action. We just finished this new COP, which was kind of disappointing in a way, this conference of the party, as well as the fact that protection of life below water and therefore the ocean protection. We are so dependent on the oceans. The fact that there is more, higher temperature all over the world, which are for many years have been absorbed by the oceans, but now they're releasing all this moisture that creates a lot of problems. And life on land, this kind of biodiversity. There is a convention on biological diversity that was signed a few years ago, which is so important for also businesses and nations to comply. The Paris Accord in 2015, as you know, we might even exit again in our country, but it's still a promise that is important for all of us to mitigate the climate and adapt to it. And so with biodiversity and the sustainable resource management, those are the three major priorities for planet. And I'm presenting this to you because it's really, again, a priority for all of us, and how we can certainly connect that with the element of prosperity. For example, the economic and financial elements are essential to it. I don't know if you're familiar, but the goal number 8 in terms of decent work and economic growth, and we as a also business institution, business educational institution, we are committed toward that, along with the proposition and promotion of innovative solutions, as well as the responsible consumption and productions, including strategies like fair trade and other solutions like even microfinance. The principle responsible investing actually was an important commitment that our international community made a few years ago and generated what you probably are familiar with, the so-called ESG, environmental, social, and governance commitment, which are important in the element of prosperity. Something really excited to be is that the International Financial Reporting Standards Foundation, and we really go deep in our courses on this, because is becoming the standardized metrics all over the world for establishing what is a sustainable project, a sustainable business solution. So for promotion of inclusive growth, for green economic transition, and for innovation in the job creation. Those standards are very important that for our students and for the business partners that we work with. So, and then to mention the other two pieces, as I said, in the 5 Ps, the peace, the partnership, but also the technology and the governance. There are 2 other priorities. With my colleagues, we wrote more about those to delineate the new agenda beyond 2030. And again, there are some good news here beside the shortcomings. That the good news is the fact that there is a lot of commitment, especially here in California, toward the California climate legislation, the so-called SB 253 and 261, that affects large corporations and smaller, even small, medium enterprises, which is about the disclosure on carbon emission. And the commitment here in California, in spite of the fact that some other parts of the United States might go backward, it's really promising. It's really fantastic. Similarly, in Europe, the conferences or the commitment toward sustainability in corporation and responsible disclosure, it's essential. But also, again, briefly, I want to point out to important technological initiatives. Like we have here nearby our colleagues at Salesforce, a major multinational corporations who operate both in Europe and United States, who have a really important software for capturing this type of emission, the so-called net zero cloud, that is very helpful, how technology can really help to find solutions for these commitments. So what is the common future? Well, some people appears to go even backward. Some people think that we are okay, going without a regulated and with unsustainable economy. And some other, they are actually really concerned about the future generation and preparing for what's going to be a sustainability renaissance, like we had the Renaissance in Europe 500 years ago after the Dark Ages. I think we are probably close to that, and this is our responsibility to prepare for it. This is a picture of the Salesforce Park, which is nearby here, our office, which is really a fantastic architectural design, but also in connection with the Salesforce commitment toward sustainability. So here is some solutions for us to think about. First of all, we have a responsibility to develop a leadership mindset. We need to understand this framework. That's why I've shared with you those essential elements of the history of sustainability and where we are going. Because we need to develop, it's no longer the old time that, we had this linear thinking. Those problems are really complex. We need to have a systems thinking ability. We need to have social intelligence. We need to develop what is called the global citizenship. The climate doesn't have borders, doesn't have nationalities. So if we don't develop that, we're not going to be prepared for the future. And second, we need to develop the managerial skill sets. This is really important for us. Programs like ours here, the Masterclass School of Management, it's for building the capacity for building sustainable supply chains, for circular economic solution, for sustainability analytics and reporting, which are important tools for us as the standards continue to grow. So, in conclusion, what is the sustainability case, let's say, for businesses? A few years ago, prior to COVID, I took a certification program at Harvard Business School with a few other colleagues. And I think their priorities are still there. You can Google them and see, but I think they're outdated. So what I'm offering you here today is actually something very innovative that comes out from our work here at the University of San Francisco School of Management. And there are 6 major priorities for a business case for sustainability. First of all, driving internal innovation and technological integration. In other words, companies and businesses, and therefore leaders like us, that embrace sustainability can really drive innovation. The technological integration that I mentioned to you, just in the example of the net zero cloud solution for Salesforce, is going to put those companies at the forefront. Second, strengthening supply chain resilience and community relationship. You might have heard about, blockchain. Blockchain is actually a tool that we are using quite a bit in sustainable supply chain, tracing the product from where they come from, where individual ingredients or individual components. This is going to be a very important element that will differentiate companies that are sustainable with others. Third, attracting the ESG focused investor. There is a lot of investors who are really focused on this type of sustainability investing, impact investing, and also for climate adaptation. Fourth, enhancing regulatory compliance. As I mentioned, the one of European Union here in California, there is only the companies who are prepared in this, and they're going to need more skilled workers, particularly with this new type of position, the so-called chief sustainability officers. You need people who know how to do those type of reporting and skills. Fifth, building trust through purpose-driven branding and engaging conscious consumer. A lot of consumers are more concerned. The stakeholders are concerned about how we produce our product, what are the values behind a certain product. And finally, mitigating environmental and social risk and differentiating as ESG leader. This is going to be a very important factor for you to consider as you continue in your career, in your own world. Those are the 6 main elements that will be a differentiating factor in the sustainability businesses. So just to learn more, I leave you with my colleague, with Hannah, who will know more and can answer your elements. And this is just a reference to some of the publications that I have done, and you can check on my website, marcotavanti.com, and this important group, like the Principle Responsible Management Education, the United Nations, which connect universities like ours who are committed toward that. And check also the commitment we have in our university, in our school, toward these very same 3 priorities that I told you in the beginning. So for sustainability, care for the people, for care for the planet, and care for technology. Check this out, because that's exactly what we are. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor, for a very, very insightful and illuminating session, which really helped us understand as to what we need to do, what is expected. And as you can see, there are quite a few questions which have come in the Q&A box for you, Professor. So I know you do have a hard stop in a bit. So I'm going to start by, posting some of the questions at you. My first question is from Gaurav, who acknowledges the fact that the topic of sustainability is truly a hot topic in today's world. However, there is a lot of cynicism when it comes to companies that carry out sustainable practices in, accusations that they are carrying out greenwashing. So, how do companies navigate this and have consumers truly believe that they are genuinely concerned about the environment?
A couple of things. One is first of all, it's not just greenwashing. There is other
Hmm.
typologies that are emerging. For example, some company, they choose to be green hushing, which means they don't report for certain things. Some company are doing green wishing. They wish to have to be certain things, but they are not. And of course, there is other typology, including SDG washing, etc. However, this is something that we are excited about because this kind of technology that are standardized in the measurements avoid this type of superficial disclosure, this claim that often is lead to marketing purposes, but with a very short outcomes. So, for example, check out what the European Union just has passed just a few months ago regarding this disclosure regarding for avoiding exactly the greenwashing. The disclosure for the supply chain is a standardized metrics that will allow and differentiate the future the company who really are serious toward this versus those who are just simply doing some kind of marketing without foundation, without data. So this is going to be a very strong differentiating factor, and start with us. I mentioned before the blockchain. I'm showing here a QR code. You will see soon QR codes that you will be able with your mobile and check exactly what is the performance behind there, beyond this kind of green labeling, these very superficial ways of saying. So this is going to be the future. And there will be, again, a differentiating factor between those companies who make the claim without substantiating their fact and those who actually are serious about it.
Thank you so much, Professor, for taking up that question. A follow-up question from others. You spoke a little bit about QRs, spoke a little bit about technology. So, how exactly does technology sort of influence sustainable business practices?
That's a very good question. Just to go a little bit deeper in what I just said. For example, there is a big conversation regarding the scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3 emission. Scope 1 is basically what the company does in terms of pollution and emission of gas in the atmosphere. Scope 2 is what we need. For example, even us as a university, we have heating, air conditioning, things that are obviously needed as energy to do our work. Scope 3 is the most controversial element because it's basically calculating what the entire supply chain, what other third-party, providers that are giving service to us are actually doing. And many companies are trying to push this away. Even some regulations, including California, they're kind of a little bit slow to adopt that. Technology will be a very important tool for that. And that's, again, check that Salesforce net zero cloud. They include the scope 3 emission. So you see the technology will be very important for us to achieve those very same goal. So you see the integration, and again, blockchain is another example, how this is going to be very prominent, especially in developing countries that might not be able to invest on highly, kind of a costly type of tools or increase their budgets for doing serious work. You'll see the technology will actually accelerate quite a bit those performances and diminish the cost ultimately.
Thank you so much, Professor. We had two questions regarding the same. Bhavya, your question came at now, but Professor was already talking about it, so we've got that covered. My next question is from Khushi, who's asking, in what way economic sustainability varies in different regions or countries, and what may be its impacts to employment in such industries that are on their way to sustainable practices?
Yeah.
How may corporations between nations help to address these disparities at the regional level, while at the same time supporting business creation in sustainable energy. So, what exactly should the industry as a whole sort of look towards, and how will it sort of impact employability and thereby economies, etc., in the longer run?
Mhm. Well, first of all, that's an excellent question. First of all, we need to consider that there is a trend, an unstoppable trend. Even though some people try to slow it down, they will be slowed down in some way, but they will not be able to stop, which is toward a more circular economy. A circular economy is unlike the linear economy. It's really requiring, to go back to our own manufacturing, our system, and to see the entire production from cradle to cradle, not to cradle to grave. This is impacting a lot of nations all over the world, especially in developing countries, which are developing a South-South type of cooperations, as well as a North-South type of cooperation, which are very insightful for example, think about investing. See, investing in infrastructure, which many countries are actually doing. I know I follow some projects, for example, in Southeast Asia, in African countries, as well as in Latin America. They're actually moving toward a more sustainable production. So buildings that already are sustainable with the solar panels like this, rather than doing an upgrade later on. And that creates the need for a lot of skilled workers, not just in terms of, skilled worker for installing solar panels, for example, but also to be able to measure and to plan this. So the certification, for example, for just to use the example of green buildings, right, from the LEED certification, etc., requires people who are skilled, who are able to do that type of performance. And then finally, another important element is the element of investing. As I mentioned earlier, there is a lot of emphasis on sustainability investing, which in some cases does not just come from private investors. I worked with the United Nations development programs that put together private investors and private company with official development assistance and the cooperations of even organizations like non-governmental organizations who are cooperating with that. So you see that from different sectors, people are able to access those possibilities and new jobs for working on this. But again, it's just to conclude this, it's think about your skills for understanding what those trends are, because it's going to be the new trends for jobs and employment. And then secondly, develop your ability for entrepreneurship, because many of the jobs, especially in the so-called global South, they're entrepreneurs. I've seen people that are incredibly creative and innovative in the so-called frugal innovation. So it's not just innovative from the big infrastructure, but also adapted to what the needs of the communities are. This is really incredible. It's going to be a revolution in the world. So I wish you the best, because this is really an open space for all of us to build the future that we all deserve. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor. That was very, very insightful. I know you have a hard stop, so I am now going to let you go. Thank you so much for your insights and for sharing all of this wonderful knowledge with us. We had more than 500 participants in the room when you were presenting, so I would like to thank everyone and request them to please stay back. The masterclass is not over yet. Anna is going to speak a little bit more. So thank you so much,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Marco,
Thank
for
you. Very
joining
nice.
us, and wonderful meeting you. Great. So, like you can see, I still have Hannah with us here. She's gonna be talking a lot in detail about the programs, about the offerings at the University of San Francisco. But two quick things before I sort of let her take over. I have posted a link in the chat window for all of you to see. You all will have an exclusive opportunity to speak to someone from the admissions team at USF in the coming week. If you are keen on applying, if you have some questions related to your profile or want to know a little bit more in detail, we do have limited slots available. So you can click on the link which is given in the chat window and book your slot now so that you do not miss out on that. Now, before I sort of bring Hannah in again, I'm going to very quickly run my second poll question for this evening, which is On the screen in front of you, when do each of you plan to pursue your postgraduate degree? Are you looking at applying in 2025? Are you looking at the 2026 intake? Are you still undecided as to which of these intakes you would want to consider? So, very candidly, to all the 450 of you who are still here, when do you plan to pursue your postgraduate degree? Which year are you looking at? Are you someone who's applying in 2025? Are you someone who's applying in 2026? Or are you someone who's still contemplating and thinking about which year should they be applying in? I'm going to keep this poll open for a couple of more seconds before I sort of hand over to Hannah. I know all of you are waiting with bated breath to know a little bit more about the University of San Francisco. So great. I'm going to stop uh, the poll and share the results in front of you. Well, I would say quite a few of you who are undecided, but a lot of you know, at least more than 50% of you know which direction you're heading towards. That is good to know, and we wish you all the very best. With that, Hannah, over to you for your presentation.
Thank you. All right, I see some familiar names in this chat. So some of you, we have had the opportunity to meet and connect in person. And for many of you, this is your first time engaging. My name is Hannah Artis, and I'm the Senior Director of Graduate Admissions at University of San Francisco. And I have been supporting graduate students for about 8 years. I've also earned my MBA, so I know exactly what it feels like to go through all of the GRE and GMAT prep, to rewrite your resume 6 times, to work on a statement of purpose essay. And the first thing I want to tell you is that you are at the right place at the right time with the right people. Whether you are working with SEED, University of San Francisco, we are all here to help you make your best application. So I really hope that you will take some time to schedule an appointment for next week. If you cannot meet next week, let us know. We have an open calendar that's available to help you with those one-on-one presentations as well as group settings to work together to make your best application. Now, I know that you guys have important questions regarding our programs and how to join University of San Francisco. So we are going to roll through that pretty quickly. So let's take notes. And I want to make sure we can share screen. We can see the screen. Let's roll. So I am in University of San Francisco, which means that I am located in California on the west coast of the United States. Now, with that, maybe, is this moving? Can you guys see this? There we go. Okay.
Yeah, it's still on
Okay,
the
good.
same slide.
I was
Yeah.
having a little delay. My apologies. So
No
we
problem.
are located on the west coast of the United States. Now, our campus, it is about location. You will hear me say that being in the right place at the right time is critical to your success. And at our heart, we are diverse, we are dynamic, and we are entrepreneurial. This is the city of San Francisco. It's an amazing place to live, learn, and grow, and it will give you plenty of problems to solve. This puts you right in the heart of downtown San Francisco. So we're housed in the financial district, which is giving students next door access to Fortune 500, to startups, to nonprofits with big and small players like Charles Schwab, Google, Gap. I mean, whatever is left of Twitter. So it's the perfect location for you to rub elbows with big and small businesses alike. And what I love to say is that you never know who you're standing in line at Starbucks when you're grabbing your coffee. Now, with that, we have extensive industry opportunity in California. California is the 5th largest global economy in the world. And as that economic powerhouse, our students are able to uniquely access a diversity of hiring and in-demand industries. I always love to ask people who are in the audience, are you interested in IT, software, social, digital media, life sciences, biotech, venture capitalism, entrepreneurship, environmental, clean tech, international business? I practically lose my breath when we look at how many industry opportunities exist in California. And what I love is that enables our city to be ranked across multiple vendors to be #1 MBA in San Francisco, to be top 30th across finance, entrepreneurship, analytics, executive programming in the United States. So you, as a student of University of San Francisco, have unique opportunities in an economic powerhouse in a well-ranked institution. Now, that's just a little bit about University of San Francisco. It's also important that you find the right MBA or master's fit to determine what your next steps will be. Now, our graduate programs are ranked for full-time that offer mini STEM programming. And as an international student, your STEM certification will give you 3 years of OPT. So you'll see a few of our most in-demand programs up on this screen, but I want you to know that there are over 50 graduate programs across the School of Education, the School of Nursing, the College of Arts and Sciences, and of course the School of Management. So if you don't see exactly what you're looking for on here, just send me an email. I'm happy to do a profile evaluation and get you set up with the right program. Now, these programs are designed to challenge you academically, but also to prepare you for an in-demand career. These USF classes are designed to be small, so you receive very dedicated attention during your education. Our class sizes are about 20 to 25 people in our cohort programs. So that means it's a limited space for a competitive program. So you'll want to prepare your application accordingly to have a select seat within these great programs. Now, what's it like to be a university student? I saw a few questions in there about networking, and I love to tell my candidates that this is all about experiential learning. USF will put you in many team projects with industry professionals, from student colleagues and expert faculty like Marco Tavanti. We have a mix of faculty who are industry professionals, but also leading research academics in their fields. We have career-oriented co-curricular activities. We have speakers who come every Friday that you can have lunch with and engage in the Silicon Valley community. You have the option to join our consulting group, sign a few NDA contracts, and work as a consultant while you are a student in our programs. We have graduate clubs like the Women in Business, our Startup Club, our C4C, known as Challenge for Charity. And as a student in University of San Francisco, you will have multiple client projects and multiple client deliverables. One of our most important pieces as a student is that you are partnered with our career services team, and you will gain professional development through your academic program, but also on your own time. We have about 5 to 8 executive career coaches that are dedicated just to the School of Management students. So you are not sharing resources with undergraduate or other colleges. They are dedicated for you during the whole duration of your program. We build career exploration and resume review, as well as mock interviews, into your curriculum. So it's a requirement that you meet with our career coaches in order to graduate. We have online career tools that you can engage with independently, workshops that will be tailored to your industry, but also tailored to understanding San Francisco. So especially as an international student, you'll have that opportunity to engage and really take advantage of this unique location. We have weekly job postings and alumni speakers and panels. These are all important for you while you're in your program at University of San Francisco. And the most important, valuable piece to your education is to go beyond the case study and build your resume through an internship or a practicum experience. All of our graduate students are expected to participate in a 3 to 6 month internship. And these are just a couple of companies that you'll see on the screen. Some of them are large, like Salesforce or Cisco or Lyft, but some of them are also in the startup experience. This is important to you as you become a candidate in San Francisco to understand the value of a company with 35 people and a company with 3,000 people. You have various experiences, and we really want you to engage with small and large companies while you are a student, either through your client projects or through your internship opportunity. Now, that's all about being in San Francisco. Remember earlier I told you about location matters? So one of the things that we bring to you as a student is a global education. You will spend a significant amount of time in San Francisco, but we will also give you the opportunity to spend 2 weeks in a global, abroad academic immersion. And in this academic immersion, you'll go to places like Bilbao, Spain, or Rome, Italy, or London, or Prague, Czech Republic. And students are immersed in experience-based learning through a capstone, through a strategy challenge, and a service learning project to help you develop an understanding of global business and, most importantly, stakeholder management. So we bring you all the way to San Francisco just to send you out to another global location to add to your resume and to add to your experience while you are in your program. Now, what do our alumni do? There are approximately 45,000 School of Management alumni that will go on to work at companies like Google, Salesforce, Kaiser Permanente in the healthcare industry, Wells Fargo in banking and finance, Genentech, pharmaceutical tech, Cruise for autonomous vehicles, Kiva for nonprofit. These are just a small list of companies that our alumni are recently working at. You'll see that they go for nonprofit, government, financial services, investment, entrepreneurship opportunities. And what's most important as you consider your choices of graduate school is to really engage with your network so that you can grow your net worth. 68% of our graduate students are international, so you will be joining students who come from your home city, like Mumbai, like coming from Accra, Ghana. They come from all over the world. We have students coming from India, Nigeria, Ghana, China, Thailand. Trust me, I meet you all out on the road, and we are traveling to bring you into our classrooms. So you will see faces familiar to your own and meet new cultures while you are in San Francisco. And these are a few of our recent alumni. And I like to share these four because you will see that some of them obtained an H-1B visa and stayed in the United States. And some of them returned to their home countries. And this is important for you as a candidate in choosing these opportunities because some of you may want to stay in California. Some of you may only want to spend 1 to 2 years in California and go back to India or Ghana. We make the way for you to be successful in either choice. You'll have a global alumni network because our students are all over the world. Whether you're looking in Delhi, Shanghai, London, or New York, you will find a USF alum. Now, I know that that is all about the university. I know I'm moving fast, so I hope that this has been exciting, but I know you're also curious about how to apply. We have a standard application material for your transcripts, your resume, an essay, 2 letters of recommendation, an interview with myself or our program director. And most importantly, we have GRE and GMAT waivers available. I know that that's always the biggest question when we're applying to graduate school. Of course, we have a TOEFL and an English proficiency exam, as well as a certificate of finance, but our team will help you through the F1 visa process. We have an entire document as well as meetings to help you prepare for a successful visa interview. When are you ready to apply? I saw that about half of you are looking at 2025. Well, the application is open. We have the next deadline is on January 15th. Then I have a March 15th and a May 15th deadline. Our classes begin in mid-August, and I know that that seems pretty far away, but it moves fast. So I want you to plan ahead. Come to these profile evaluation events. Come to one of my monthly sessions where I'll talk about what is the best resume, where we'll do a how to apply tips and tricks. We also have programmatic sessions for you. But know that as an F1 visa candidate, the sooner you get your admission decision, the faster you can obtain your I-20 and make plans for coming to California. And you probably have a ton of questions. So take a screenshot here. I've got a fee waiver for you, but email us at management@usfca.edu. Give us a call, chat with us online, attend an event, and hopefully I will see you next week at the profile evaluation.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hannah, for that power-packed informative session. We have a few questions, but before I get to those, I will be posting the code for the application fee waiver in a bit. But I also wanted to draw the attention of everyone attending this masterclass that the University of San Francisco does have some exclusive scholarships which will cover up to 75% of your tuition fees with Seed Global Education. The application for round 2 is currently open and will be ending in the next 10 days. So I am going to post the link to the scholarship as well. And I would request anyone who's looking at applying to please go ahead and apply for the scholarship. You all have 10 days in hand before it sort of ends. Of course, the application fee waiver for today's masterclass, for all those who are attending, you all are eligible for an application fee waiver. So make use of all of these wonderful services that we have to offer to you. Great. With that, I would now like to start with the Q&A. Let's start off with the first question, Hannah from Biswick, who wants to know whether you'll offer any PhD programs as well.
So PhD, there are a few programs through our School of Education, but they are primarily about teaching and leadership and organization. So I do not have a PhD in accounting. I have a Master's of Science in accounting. I have certificates in accounting, but I do not have a PhD in accounting.
Okay, great. Thank you. I hope that does help you understand a little bit better, Biswick. The next question is something, of course, a lot of Shruti has asked, but a lot of students do face. For someone who hasn't had much luck when it comes to scoring well or does not have a good GPA, there might be certain students who might even have a gap year, or let's say have not gotten such fair results. What a lot of students face this concern whether this will affect their selection process at USF, even if they get, let's say, a good GMAT or a GRE, or in those cases, to make it more broader to the larger spectrum of audience present. What if, let's say, for example, their GMAT or their GRE grades are also not up to the mark, Hannah? What would be your tips for these students who are looking to apply?
I love this question because often as a candidate, you are nervous to apply, right? You're looking at your profile and you're looking at maybe my GPA isn't strong enough or my work experience. I don't have leadership experience. Those are all very normal feelings when you're looking to apply. I'm going to first say that you are more than your GPA, okay? We are taking a holistic view at your whole profile. So I want to know, yes, what did make you struggle in undergrad? Why was your GPA a little tough? It's better to be honest and tell me what happened. I've had candidates who had less than stellar GPAs, but they had really strong GRE or GMAT scores, but they also had a strong resume. I got to see volunteer experience. I got to see that they were really engaged. And in their essay, they told me about how they will be in the classroom. So know that, yes, we're going to consider your GPA. We have to. But that there are other ways that you can really bolster your profile through exams, through leadership, through volunteerism, and being able to tell a really compelling story. And this is also what's important about profile evaluations. Because if you come to us with one-on-one or in group settings and say, here are all of my metrics about myself, we'll be able to help pinpoint you in the right place and the right program and the right time for you to join a graduate program.
Thank you. So what, folks, the takeaway for everyone present here today is they are looking at a holistic profile. So while you might not feel so confident about one aspect of it, you just have to make sure you're balancing the rest. Get your check boxes in place for that one. Thank you so much, Hannah. I'm going to take up my next question, which is a typical question that is asked by a lot of students based in Asia and even Africa. Is the English proficiency test or GMAT a mandatory requirement for students whose subjects were taught in the English language? So I'm keeping GMAT out of this. Let's just talk about TOEFL, IELTS, or Duolingo scores. Are those mandatory for students from India and Africa, for those who have studied through an English medium curriculum as such?
Great question. And I know that these two populations in particular are looking for waivers. But let me give you my best piece of advice. Never let the admission committee have doubts about your ability to succeed in the classroom. So we do have a TOEFL, an IELTS, and or Duolingo as a requirement in our application process. And I recommend pick the one that is most easily for you to access. Duolingo you can take at home. You have IELTS and TOEFL who also have some in-person but also at-home engagements. And let me tell you, that's also part of your consideration. I know that whether you're from India or from Africa, most of your education was taught in English. So that is stellar,
Right.
which means you're going to do well on this exam, which the admission committee will love. So definitely, there are details on our website for the minimum scores, if there are exemptions available, and how to obtain those. So definitely look online. But generally, for the over 300 people in this audience, expect to take an English proficiency exam.
Thank you, Hannah. Hannah, I will move on to the other bit of that question. Now, let's talk a little bit about the GMAT or the GRE exam. Is that a mandatory requirement for students applying to USF as well for the master's and the MBA program?
So great question. As you saw, I listed several
Yes.
programs that are in demand. And for most of them, these are optional GRE or GMAT
Okay.
exams. So it's more of our energy systems management and data science program that do have a requirement, but waivers are available.
Okay.
And I tell candidates, make a strong application. If you are in the place where your GPA is less than desirable, then lean on the GRE or GMAT. If you're in a place where you're concerned about your work experience, lean on the GRE or GMAT. But in most cases, our programs, it is an optional exam. And I know that there are many programs, and you might be wondering which one, but for our MBA folks, optional. For our management folks, optional. Information systems, optional. And any other details, I can do one-to-one or answer via email.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hannah. That was very insightful. I know we've come towards the end of the masterclass, but very quickly, I'm going to take up our last question for that for today, if that's okay with you. Can we talk a little bit
Please.
about some of the placement opportunities? I know you spoke about them, but for students, especially again coming back to India and the African region, return on investment is something which is a huge factor, considering that a lot of the students or folks present here today would be looking at scholarships or loan options. So, what are some of the placement opportunities that are available, at for students at USF, and how do you all sort of facilitate this during the program and also after their graduation?
I love this question because you will find if you ask any of our alumni, our career services team is ingrained in your classroom. It is a requirement of your degree to have at least 3 meetings with your career coach. Now, I encourage you to meet with your career coach more than 3 times, and you'll find candidates who had great success when they did more. But know that we build it into your curriculum as a mandatory piece because career placement benefits you, of course. Don't take all of that time working on your master's degree to not take the career seriously, but it benefits us as well. We have a significant alumni network who wants to see you succeed. So they will come on campus along with your career coaches to network with you, to help you build understanding. And I think that's really important for international students as well. If it's your first time in San Francisco, it's a much different world than where you're from. So we use our career coaches and alumni to help foster and facilitate your success during the program. Now, you'll have access to these tools after the program as well. We have a 93% placement rate within 3 months of graduation for our students. And that is amazing because San Francisco is incredibly competitive, but it's also full of extensive opportunities. And we have that placement rate because our students are well prepared. We have weekly job postings, we have mock interviews, salary negotiations, and those dedicated coaches and alumni who come in and mentor you while you're in the program. And I think that as a student, you can get a little caught up in deadlines for your homework, and you kind of put a little bit of that career on the back burner. But as our staff and our faculty and our coaches, we make sure to keep that at the forefront with you. Just as important as any of your regular classes is to be thinking about the next 5 years, not just passing class at times. So it's a good engagement tool.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hannah. Thank you so much for your time and for answering all those questions. I see we have still more than 300 plus students in the audience. Thank you so much for staying tuned with us right till the end. We have given you a lot to think over today, along with, of course, the scholarship deadlines and the application fee waivers and the chance to speak to someone from the admissions team at San Francisco and have your profile evaluated. So with that, thank you, Hannah. Have a wonderful day back home in Idaho. And I look forward to connecting with you soon. To everyone in India, good evening and have a great evening and have a wonderful Thursday. To everyone in Africa, have the best for the rest of your day. Take care and we will see you soon with our next masterclass.
Thank you.
Bye.